Hello there, everybody. Antiakos Megas here with a 31k replay commentary on the most famous battle, one of the most famous battles of the history of 31k, Rome Total War, that took place in 2025, and that would be none other than the Battle of Mount Tartarus, which was fought directly by the Titans against three of the greatest players on all of Rome Total War, and in some cases, but maybe the greatest players of Total War in general, not just Rome Total War. In that, I think that if some of these guys and one they played any other Total War game, they'd probably quickly master every level of it and win tournaments and become seen as peerless at it, or if not one of the greatest after some time of playing. And as a spectator, we've also got Sparky with his traditional faction of Thrace. One notable thing about this battle is that everybody has taken their favorite factions here. Titans Paglia over here loves the Scipii. My favorite faction is definitely the Seleukids. Beast loves his SPQR. Hamilcar and Luke always take the Brutii, and Amanda, I've always seen them default to the Julii in 31k when using Rome and has the option. So that's another great thing about this battle. Everyone's just themselves as a player in this battle. I don't know if Luke and Hamilcar have a faction they like more than Rome. Same with Nadinsu. I guess Paglia and Beast like... I see Paglia love Macedon a lot, so I don't know if Macedon's his favorite faction, but he always... I think his go-to is the Scipii Romans often. And I think for Beast, it's definitely Rome. So right here, I'm just going to introduce all of the players quickly. Start off with Titans Beast. Titans Beast is a classic Rome Total War player. His name is almost synonymous with 31k back in the 2000 teens. When I started playing in the tail end of 2014 and then really got active in 2015 online, Beast was pretty much known as the best 31k player. At least when using Rome. He was never really interested in pikes, but he did very well with Sparta and Carthage in team battles when he wanted to take them. Player whose style is characterized by vicious aggression, very bold attacks. Some call it reckless, some call it careless. Some people criticize him, saying that he overextends and doesn't pay attention to stamina enough. But overall, what I see 90% of the time when Beast plays is that he takes the initiative. He is the person who often decides how the battle's going to go. He rushes, he forces an engagement, and the outcome of that really writes the rest of history for that battle, and that's what Beast is really known for. And that's something I honestly really respect in any player, not just Beast, but Beast really personifies that, that whole concept of taking initiative and doing something audacious, bold, legendary, and something that'll be talked about for days after it's done. And Beast is famous for doing this many, many, many times. And when it works, it's absolutely glorious. But he's also a very good defensive player when he has to be. I've seen him read situations really well, not attack, let somebody else do it, and he just holds down the line really well. He was a very powerful leader and personality back in the 2015-2016 era for the Titans clan. And he was a person a lot of trolls were obsessed with beating someday. They never really got the chance, or either in 1v1 or in team games for that matter. Titans were just too strong. And in those days, it was Beast, Mohammed, he was considered the second best in those days. And then Elite Legionarii, Hades, Odin, also pretty strong players with Rome, especially if Beast and Mohammed were helping them figure out what to do and sort of coordinating. And Hades also was a very excellent player in his own right. It's sad not to see him anymore, but just an honorable mention to Hades. So that's Titans Beast, legendary figure, and he was inactive for a very long time after 2016, but he's come back in the 2020s lately, and it's really good to see him. He brings back really old school 31k, golden era as I call it, 31k play style and personality. So that's him. Then holding in the center is myself, Antiakos Megas. I started playing tail end of 2014 after playing a lot of Macedon, Carthage, Gaul campaign. I actually never played the Seleukid campaign on Rome Total War. I met a guy called Orman Lange, who was in COH and then IOW afterwards. He linked me to Cleo because I was interested in learning 31k. Cleo noticed that I was always taking pikes. He thought I was a very strange noob because I always had cavalry generals and took ridiculous formations and stuff like that. But he saw some promise in me and started training me a lot, so I learned exceptional 31k skills, mainly from Cleomenes, for a long time. I also had inspirations like Dio and Heracles later on, who are excellent pike players, the best I've ever seen in classic 31k style. And I've sort of just carried on that tradition. I play this game mainly because I'm a huge history nerd, especially for Hellenistic age military history. So I try to emulate that whenever I can. As we all know, I'm a huge fan of one particular, outside of Alexander the Great and Pyrrhus of Epirus and things like that, Eumenes and Antigonos. I also really like Antiakos the Great, who I've named myself after. So I'm taking the Seleukids because I feel like after I took Macedon for a long time and got really good with pikes, I thought the Seleukids really represented the Alexander and the later Hellenistic sort of military power, which was really cavalry heavy. The phalanx actually wasn't usually the determining factor in at least in Alexander and Philip's time. It was always the cavalry that was the decisive factor. The phalanx was important. It was very powerful. It was hard to defeat head on. But it relied on a symphony of other more flexible, more maneuverable contingents, and cavalry was absolutely necessary. And Philip is not credited for just inventing the Macedonian phalanx. He also really put heavy shot cavalry and mobility into play as well, and relied more so on hammer and anvil tactics, in either dominating flanks or outmaneuvering flanks to do those things. So the phalanx was never meant to win battles on its own. It was always meant to be used in conjunction with cavalry. And Philip II and Alexander are credited with being one of the first commanders to really do that, outside of just inventing the Macedonian-style Sarissa phalanx and everything like that. And I feel like the Seleukids, despite their relative lack of infantry power against Rome, really represent that very well, so it's always fun for me to take them. And I guess I've established a reputation as being particularly skillful with them. And I think I still remain sort of relevant today. So that's just me holding on the flank. And I've got gold 2 cataphracts, 11 gold silver shield pikemen, 3 just regular archers. My general in this battle is actually gold 3, so I did that. He was originally gold 2, but I took some chevrons out of the archers. So they're gold 1, one is gold, and the general is going to be gold 3. I was putting a lot more faith in Antiochos, the general cavalry in this battle. And I put the general in the cavalry. Now, if I'm Macedon or anything else, I put the general in the infantry. But because I don't trust Silver Shield Pikemen to survive Pila, running through, and sustained archer fire, and I think that the more decisive part of my army is the cataphracts. It might be far away from the phalanx. I want my morale here more so. I want the cataphracts to be more decisive and last a lot longer. And I just think the general's safer in this unit as a whole. So for me personally, I put the general in the cataphract unit because their morale is not better than Silver Shield. It's actually exactly the same. Even with the chevrons, they help, but that's counteracted by the fact that their stamina isn't good, and I have to run a lot and fight a lot with them, so that's going to drain. So anything I could do to add just a little bit more morale to these units is going to be good, because it's going to help them stay and fight longer, and the longer the fight, the more they kill. The more they kill, the more good things happen. I also forgot to mention, Beast has, I was just going to say his army. Beast always takes a legionary first cohort, and I think it's really important, not necessarily for the beginning of the battle, but in the end, when things are really close. I think a legionary first cohort, other than a chariot or flame arrows, is really one of those units that can decide and make and break the end game of a battle. So he always takes a legionary first cohort. I rarely see him not take one. So that's just something to note about Beast. And then over here we have Titans Paglia. Started playing a little bit like the latest of all of the players here, I think, was Paglia. Outside of Hamilcar, I think Hamilcar came slightly after, but I'll get into Hamilcar a bit. Hamilcar was already a very excellent not Rome Total War, but Total War player by the time he started playing Rome 1. But I'll get into that a little bit later. So Paglia is the most recent player here. Maybe not necessarily in 31k. Sparky's just spectating, but Sparky and Paglia joined the Titans clan together at roughly the same time in around 2017 or 2018, I want to say. They were trained by Titans Mohammed. Paglia became basically the last true classic 31k player that entered the game. By that I mean none of us here ever really played CWB. None of us ever really got good at it. We never played any con situations or anything like that. I think Paglia may have played CWB for a bit, but he never really took it super seriously. These are all holistically, purely 31k players trained by older 31k players before them, and their whole career was just taking 31k team battles, not so much 1v1s, very seriously. Although I think everyone, all three of us, are pretty good at 1v1s when we want to play them as well. So that's Paglia, and Paglia got very good very quickly, especially under the tutelage of Mohammed, and I think a bit under Climax as well. I think Climax became very close with Paglia and helped him out with some very important strategic insights in team battles and 1v1 as well. So Paglia has also a legionary for his cohort, just like Beast, and 13 urbans with 6 Praetorian cavalry. And Paglia is notable for being a very versatile player, not just with Rome. Obviously, he's very good with Macedon. I've seen him. If I team up with Paglia, my Seleukids and his Macedon, I think, tend to work very well together. And he's also a very, very reliable person as Rome. And like I said, he became very good very quickly, and he continues to be a major threat on the battlefield, especially when working with Beast in team games. They work very well together. So that is Titans Paglia. Alright. Next up, we've got Amanda. Amanda has taken 14 urban cohorts and 6 Praetorian Cav. Amanda is notably and historically the greatest 31k player, CWB player, sorry. Also one of the greatest 31k players, especially with Rome, in my opinion. I think that even when Amanda took pikes in 1 versus 1, I found them actually a pretty fun challenge, and they actually beat me a lot of times 1 versus 1 with Macedon and stuff like that. So a lot of people used to not consider Amanda very good in general 31k, but I kind of disagree. I think Amanda was excellent. Amanda was one of those people who, one of the few people that I encountered who, if I took Seleucids against Amanda's Rome back in the day, when I used to 1v1 Amanda a lot, Amanda's could beat the Seleucids without running through, without using Testudo, without even necessarily peeling. Not that they don't Pila thoroughly, but without necessarily peeling or taking Pila too seriously. They could win just based on pure game IQ, pure cavalry use, pure patience, pure persistence, and strategic and tactical know-how, which I really respected. And it made me kind of realize, Amanda's one of the people that really made me realize that even though running through against pikes is very fun, you can get a lot of kills and take care of a frustrating problem pretty easily, I think it's kind of cheating. I think if you're a very good player and take a good army, you shouldn't need it to beat Silver Shield Pikemen or Royal Pikemen. I understand maybe if people box and they have a lot more infantry than you, then maybe, but otherwise, if it's even or you have more infantry, I don't think running through is necessary. In my opinion, I've seen it. I've seen people who are not good players win using it, and it's honestly, it's just making me feel like the game's a lot more fun and dynamic when you don't need to rely on it so much, and even maybe give the person who likes taking pikes a chance to win. So that's just my take, and Amanda's one of those people that helped prove that. Showing that pure skill and everything like that should determine a battle, not like, game hacks and stuff like that you found out. It was also nothing, running through was not also an intended developer feature in this game, unlike charging through, which was, charge distance is a thing in the stats and stuff. Running through is not, it's also not historical, so that's just a little aside that Amanda's connected to, but excellent player right here, holding down that flank and facing Paglia directly. Next up, we have Hamilcar Barca, who's taken the Brutii. Hamilcar has the bulk of their archer force, boasting a force of 4 archers. Hamilcar is traditionally a Rome 2 player, came on Rome 1, I think sometime after Paglia started playing, and became very good very quickly, both in CWB and 31k, so unlike any of us, Hamilcar is skilled in all manner of Rome Total War that's taken seriously, not just 31k. And personally, when I see Hamilcar play, I think he's one of the best players I've ever seen on this game. Always able to operate everywhere with infantry and cavalry and archers. Always attacking very cleverly. Always strategically minded. Always has a purpose behind what he's doing. Doesn't leave many mistakes open for the enemy player to explore it. Thinks very quickly and thoroughly and logically, and is always just a good sound voice of reason in any team battle. And excellent strategic operator. And I'm sure on Rome 2, where many people say he's the best player, he's no different there. So that's Hamilcar Barca. Very formidable player. If you notice, he's also not taking a legionary first cohort. He just has 10 urban cohorts. It looks like he's put a lot of chevrons on his cavalry. So next up, the person that we are approaching with a lot of force is Luke, otherwise known as Luke Invictus. He's gone by luck in this battle. He's taken 2 archers and 12 infantry with a force of 6 Praetorian cavalry. Again, Luke has no legionary first cohort, just urban, so this team has foregone the legionary first cohort morale boost, and they've some of them have taken, all of them except Amanda have taken archers and put chevrons on units instead, which is a pretty decent way to bolster morale as well. You just lose some slots for heavy infantry. But those archers will be effective because we do have Silver Shield pikemen, and they can suffer attrition easily from archer fire. Cavalry, especially as it's moving, can suffer attrition from archer fire, and that matters a lot. So it's not a bad move to take all these archers, but it can put them in a little a positional or an attritional precariousness if you know, urbans overwhelm their urbans too early. But we'll see how that actually goes in this battle. And bear in mind, these players absolutely know what they're doing. They're definitely this team here, these 3 in 1 versus 1. These are all, in my opinion, the top 3 1 versus 1 players, perhaps in 31k. I would even say Sparky is up there with them too, even though he's spectating. This battle really has just the best players, probably like the 7 best 31k players that were active at that time in 2025. So that's another little interesting thing about this battle. So those are all the players right here. And I'd have to say, I think overall Luke is the absolute best at Rome Total War in general. Just in case you haven't heard of him or know him, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably do. Wins lots of con tournaments, has a positive ratio against everybody. Like after, I'd say 2020, 2021, has a positive ratio in 1v1 against every 31k player. So I'm really taking it seriously after he really learned and understood the kinetics of 31k and stuff like that. And before that, he was an excellent C2B player. And I think Luke also deserves a lot of credit because he's the first to really apply C2B types of strategies and invent new things in 31k that other people wouldn't have thought were possible until he did it. And he's been able to use it to win countless battles that are very impressive. So that's another thing to say about Luke. So we've got a very, very formidable team here, especially with Luke here. We've got the top Rome 2 and the top Rome 1 player, and a historic top C2B player right here as well. So that's things as it stands. So now that we've introduced the players and given a little insight into their backgrounds, we can now delve into what's going on in the battle itself. And right now, it's a lot of positioning right here. There isn't much to really say other than we've traded off a few urbans here, 1 urban for 1 urban right here. Hamilcar seems to be sliding right past Luke, switching with Luke, putting Luke in the center. Hamilcar with his 10 urbans are going to take the flank. I am staying back as a reserve with my phalanx, mainly to avoid this archer fire that they're certainly looking to use. They've been shooting the living daylights out of my regular archers, and as you can see here, with that 6 archers of superior quality, those numbers in those archers have dwindled very quickly. 1 archer here kind of escaped and has not gotten shot to death yet, but it will soon. Pikes are starting to take casualties here, so as you can see from the arrows flying by, Hamilcar and Luke are targeting the pikes. Very smart move for them, because this will matter over time, slowly. So the longer that we sort of reposition and wait while they're in archer range, the weaker we get, because one of our armies is susceptible to that archer fire. At least the pikes are. Cataphracts, not so much. As you can see, even with me trying to shoot back, they've taken very few casualties in their archers. Not many at all. So to start off with, Hamilcar and Luke are not going to be super aggressive. Beast is not going to be super aggressive either. He's actually being more defensive, which he's more than capable of doing. You see that from him often as well. And Amanda is really going to be the one who's pushing. And I just want to say, almost forgot to mention, that Amanda, one caveat with Amanda is that Amanda has a very outdated PC, isn't great for larger scale. Anything beyond a C2B or a 1 versus 1 isn't great for Amanda. So Amanda has stated many times that they suffer from a low FPS issue and can't really play to full potential. So just take the results of Amanda and the way Amanda performs with a pinch of salt, because there is that stated FPS deficiency there going on, and that's really going to hurt the team as a whole. As far as I know, nobody on our side claimed that there was any particular hardware issue for them, although me and Luke both thought, because I thought for myself, and Luke stated after the battle, that this battle was a little bit glitchy and buggy, so it wasn't a perfectly smooth battle. It's before the patch days, obviously, so just bear that in mind. Those are other conditions of the battle that I have to mention. Even though I think Amanda did play pretty sensibly and well overall in this battle, despite that. So Beast is going to come in. Beast is also known for these preemptive cavalry strikes early on to try to get a very early material advantage in urbans. One reason he does that is that if he is able to wipe out an urban before it throws its Pila, it can really help get an attritional and missile advantage early on, which can be really decisive. It also helps his infantry overwhelm the enemy infantry if he really does a lot of damage to that cav. Sometimes he takes a lot of damage in his cav from counter charges or Pila being thrown, but he often gets away with it. As you can see, he's already down to 44 in a cavalry unit, so that's not good. But Amanda's also here has taken some loss on this cavalry, as it's 42. So there's things as it stands now. I am basically communicating to my allies that we shouldn't be too passive because I'm getting shot with archers. So I start to bring in the phalanx at last, and I begin to sort of take over from urbans, position myself in a place where I could be a Pila sponge, and start to try to cause some extra casualties on engaged urbans against my allies with some of my pikes. I'm holding a flank here against Hamilcar, who's sort of switched positions with Luke here, with just 3 pikes, taking on some Pila to help my allies not, with their more powerful urbans, not take it, and also to prevent any sneaky cav slice charges that they could try to use. And my phalanx over here has taken absolutely atrocious casualties from Pila fire, as you can see. So there's an attempt sort of at a very strong and good envelopment on this side. Beast just keeps rotating a little bit backwards. And Paglia over here is putting a lot of infantry pressure on Amanda. It's got Amanda with a nice angle of urbans right here, facing these Scipii units. Paglia comes in with a single slice charge, gets an urban for free right there, throwing Pila into some tight formation urbans, as you can see, getting nice kills. Manages to slip away with that attack, so that's one urban down for Amanda. As you notice, both players are in tight formation. I'm not sure if Amanda's thrown all their Pila yet. I just see Paglia still throwing some. Paglia has engaged urbans in tight with loose formation urbans in the back. It's a very old school and classic tactic. Paglia doesn't like to go into guard off mode. Paglia likes to take guard on and just touch the enemy urbans so that they're engaging, but they're not fighting too much. I guess this is to preserve stamina and keep an orderly line. And Amanda does exactly the same thing and makes a nice tight line with nice urban line right there, really tightly. So Beast and I are boxing in with a mix of Silver Shield pikemen and urban cohorts. Beast over there goes in for another charge to kill another one of Amanda's urbans. It seems to hold so far. So got sort of that urban sort of survived. Amanda throws Pila back into Beast. Beast seems to take a few casualties, but manages to get away before getting too damaged. Over here, Luke comes in to support Amanda and does a very well-placed slice charge right here. Manages to kill one urban and definitely caused a lot of heavy casualties. So another urban's routing. So that was a very good early slice charge from Luke right there before anybody could respond. I'm hesitant to get my cataphracts involved yet. I could throw them in now, but they would get countercharged, as well as likely have Pila thrown back at them, especially from Luke, who probably hasn't thrown much Pila yet. As you can see there, Paglia's getting very good shots here. Nobody's really going to Testudo or Loose. They're just sort of throwing Pila at each other in tight formation a lot here. So I don't want to use the Cataphracts yet. Why let them get Pila'd? I'd rather let the Phalanx get Pila'd first. And that's what I'm going to try to do as I bring them to bear here. Hamilcar's thrown a lot of his Pila at my pikes, and this, as you can see how thin my numbers are right here. So I'm being very defensive and passive with my infantry. Beast and Pag are allocating their forces to Luke and Amanda very, very aggressively here. Luke with a very dangerous charge right there, supplemented by Pila right into these cavalry and urbans. So you can see lots of little charges going on right there. Looks like they thought about doing a massive attack. You know, this battle's very... right here looks like one of Luke's cav got stuck here, so he's down to 12. More charging action right here. We're trying to generate a mass route here from somebody, but it just doesn't... For neither side, that just doesn't really happen. We only get small attritional gains. Hamilcar with a very big charge right here. I think they're stuck. I think they just can't get their units out. I don't think they're meaning to stay in like that, because Paglia gets a nice countercharge, but even he is not able to rout even Amanda's general or Hamilcar's cavalry, which also seems to be largely stuck. That's very unlucky for Amanda that's stuck like that. It could have easily gotten killed. I'm honestly surprised Amanda's general survived all this. Lost half its men, but the general stayed alive miraculously. So that's very lucky. Phalanx unit even came through to try to desperately catch it, but didn't quite make it. Hamilcar's withdrawn his forces from the flank here. My Cataphract unit, this is just a place where a lot of units got stuck. My Cataphract unit is stuck here. I told everybody what was happening, so thank you to Luke for not trying to peel it. I couldn't move it for a while. As you can see, I'm struggling. So I was really afraid for most of this battle I'd have to try to use 5 Cataphracts before anything even happened. But I think this unit does get unstuck after some painstaking efforts on my part. So right here, the battle still seems pretty even if we look at it closely. I have used no Cataphracts yet, they're all fresh. Paglia and Beast have done most of the cavalry work. As you can see, they've taken pretty nasty losses on a couple units. 4 of their units are still relatively healthy. Both of them have 2 what I'd call reduced to nubs. Units reduced to nubs right there. Looks like Amanda's glitching with 1 cavalry. So I'm not the only person glitching. Amanda's cavalry overall seems pretty strong and intact. It looks like Luke and Hamilcar took heavy losses on at least one of their cavalry units. So those are things as it stands right now. It looks like Amanda has a pretty strong full force of cav. So cavalry-wise, it kind of looks like fortunes are relatively even. We definitely still have a cavalry advantage, I guess, because technically we've got these gold 2 Cataphracts, which I would rank a little bit higher than Praetorians. Even if they're not quite as versatile, they are certainly in a direct clash significantly more powerful. So cavalry advantage is still on us. Infantry advantage, I guess, is on them because they don't need to have Silver Shield Pikemen to take Cataphracts, but our Silver Shield Pikemen do create these cavalry charge denial zones, so they're forced. So if you notice a lot of where the pikes are not, that's where cavalry strikes are going to occur the most aggressively. As you see, Paglia here sacrifices a cav basically to charge a couple urbans, and it looks like Luke and Amanda both cumulatively charge, routing 2 units here. So it looks like Paglia's lost 2 cavalry units from that effort. And a third one is very heavily damaged at 16 men. But it looks like Luke has lost some more of his infantry, so it wasn't a complete loss. A little glitch. So this battle was pretty fair amount of glitching going on in this battle, but nothing too atrocious or nothing that led to a disaster for either side that made it sort of an unfair victory or loss, so to say. So just keep that in mind. Rome Total War was never the smoothest game to play. As you can see, Hamilcar over here, very smart guy, sees a weak point in sees sort of the weak point, and Amanda as well sees the weak point of our formation here. A lot of stronger pikes are protecting the center on the left flank, toward the left flank, but on the right, there's a weaker pike stationed there. So Hamilcar is going to aggressively attack with his infantry, and Amanda's going to follow up with some nice charges. I actually forget to put phalanx down a little bit. I don't think it mattered super much because they weren't fighting out of phalanx that long, and I think this is just obviously a much too powerful force for tiny urbans and tiny pikes. But the enemy team of Amanda, Luke, and Hamilcar make a significant breakthrough here. There's a lot of units routing. We've lost an archer, 2 urbans, a couple pikes. So most significant breakthrough of the whole battle was initiated by Team Amanda. I'm just going to call it Team Amanda. So very well played to this team here, and Hamilcar is leading that, doing most of the killing of the routing units there. Paglia responds with an aggressive charge right back against Amanda, clipping another urban. And the cataphracts, I see that Pila has been thrown mostly. I'm trying to use the cataphracts in a way where they cannot get Pila'd or countercharged. So wherever their cav is going, I'm going to go the other way and try to attack something there. And if I can attack urbans out of range of enemy Pila, I'm going to do so, and that's what I start to do. So this is the first use of cataphracts. Right after that little route there, I respond immediately and start attacking on the other side, and I managed to kill about 2 urbans overall. Luke goes in for, he thinks about a countercharge, but I think he knows also that if he does it, he's going to get countercharged by beasts, so he sort of changes his mind. Reading the lack of willingness to attack, I begin to attack a 3rd urban, supplemented by beast. As we push through, we route a 2nd urban cohort together. And then as Amanda comes in, I pull out just in time before I can lose too many cataphracts. And then I sort of start to regroup here, defensive line, with a pike sort of screening me. I begin to try to attack here. Amanda is more than smart enough not to accept that fight and wisely pulls off. So as you can see, I'm screened. My cataphracts are able to attack, and they have protection from beast and a few silver shield pikemans to sort of hide behind and then counterattack. Beast over here very forward with his infantry pushing through highly aggressively. Right there. Meanwhile, on the other side, though, the other side where Paglia is holding it down is obviously it's not quiet. As you can see, Amanda and Luke are holding... Amanda, Luke, and elements of Hami are all holding down Paglia on this flank. But Paglia has been charging in and out with his cavalry as well, sort of trading blows with Hami, and Paglia has actually managed to defeat Amanda's general and a couple urbans there. And as you can see here, it actually looks like Amanda doesn't really have any infantry left outside of 2 urbans. So that is a very good thing for us. Looks like a couple units of ours have come back, but it's really just a tiny urban and a tiny archer, not too decisive there. Luke over here has an archer stationed right behind us, but it's out of ammo. So it's not too much of a threat, but I guess by the very virtue of the fact that a unit is flanking, it does cause a morale penalty locally. So that is, it's not. Might as well use it if you have it for something. So that is things as it stands. There's sort of this one side is winning on one flank. Their left is defeating our right, and our left is heavily attacking, and it is sort of defeating their right. So those are things as it stands. And Paglia is definitely the guardian of the right flank here. His charges have done excellent amounts of damage to the enemy infantry. But his infantry is also heavily weakened, as you can see here. Paglia over here, great team player that he is, kept his legionary first cohort with us. So even though these silver shield pikemen are winded, they don't have the best morale, they have no chevrons on them, they've taken casualties. They are glad to see the enemy routing. That's a morale buff for them. And this legionary first cohort is making them even more reliable. In addition to beasts, I don't think there's a cumulative... it's just even one legionary first cohort is as good as 2 as far as raw morale output is concerned. But if one legionary first cohort falls and runs away, we've still got the other. And if Beast lost all his units and it was just me and Paglia, we'd still have that Legionary First Cohort helping us out, helping the Cataphracts and everything else out. So it was wise of him to sort of distribute his morale bonus to more places than just himself. But as you can see, he's in a very precarious state here. He just has a small unit defending his general. He's got an okay force of cav. Half of it's dead. And those are things that it stands. It looks like Beast's general isn't facing in a good way. Hamilcar sees that perceptively and tries to destroy it. General is lucky to get away without routing, or dying for that matter. And Hamilcar sort of gets away without taking any loss too. And then this happens, as you can see here. Suddenly, Paglia sees that his general dies, and he has very little support or material left on this side, and he goes for an all-or-nothing charge against most of the enemy cavalry and Luke and Hamilcar's infantry. And let's see what happens here. This is obviously a very unfair battle here. We've got Amanda also coming in, charging right into the Paglia's general. All of Paglia's cav is now engaged, and that is Paglia's general dead, and his unit should rout shortly after that. So we've lost Paglia effectively outside of his Legionary First Cohort. And then just as that happens, just as Paglia sacrifices himself, Beast and I capitalize on the fact that most of the enemy power was on our right flank, destroying Paglia. If you think about it, a lot of units were used to destroy 3 cav and just a couple of small urban units. So Beast, I take the Cataphracts, Beast takes his infantry and his cavalry, and we do a massive general all-out assault against Luke and Hamilcar's infantry with our collection of units here. Silver Shield Pikemen are fully engaged, the Urbans are surging through, Cataphracts are in the battle to win it, and Hamilcar tries to countercharge, but he gets surrounded by Cataphracts just at a bad time. Even Paglia with his last cavalry is sort of involved, and we just start crushing elements of Luke and a lot of Hamilcar's army right on this flank right when that happens. Massive countercharge is initiated by the enemy. The Cataphracts try to block it. I just want to say that I think I walked through with the Cataphracts and then clicked attack, but I don't think they actually did the attack order. As you can see, they sort of just like stood. They're taking the charge directly on still, and they are fighting with their maces, but they're going to take a lot of casualties from this epic countercharge by Luke and Amanda here, as you can see. Looks like Paglia's cavalry routed. Beast's Urbans are surging forward, as you can see right here. The Cataphracts are holding out against that countercharge. Took a lot of losses from that, but it was after a really nice rout of a lot of units there. More Cataphracts are getting countercharged by Amanda, but they get out just in time. The countercharge is countercharged by Beast, and as you can see, that the results of that attack from Beast and I seems to have routed Hamilcar's general and a lot of Luke's infantry. This actually triggered a massive chain rout of the enemy force there, but they're not giving up. They're not phased by it, as you can see. The Team Amanda still has their wits about them, and they continue operating very effectively. They're not crushed yet, just because they started routing a lot. They did cause a lot of damage to us, though. Look at the Cataphracts that I have left. And Paglia also is completely out of the picture. Amanda's cavalry, however, is still active, so there's still a very it's still not decided, you know. It's not super decisive. They have both sides just have a lot of cavalry left, especially I think they have more left than us overall. And they also still have a lot of urbans. Beast has taken a lot of loss on his urbans as well, but as you can see, more units are starting to break. It's down really to the last units. Cataphracts regroup and continue their offensive against now Hamilcar's, more of Hamilcar's infantry right here. As you can see, massive counterattack by the enemy. The Cataphracts try to get out, but the general falls, and Antiochos falls in this battle. Somehow the Cataphracts are still not routing, though. Probably thanks to that Legionary First Cohort that Beast still has nearby. Hamilcar comes in with more infantry, as you can see. Absolute slugfest right here. Absolute brawl. It's still not decided yet, even after all that. The battle's been very even despite breakthroughs again and again, and we just keep hammering each other with cavalry relentlessly. You could just see the sense of desperation and suspense on both sides. It's just down to a small batch of Silver Shield pikemen that are whittled down to almost nothing, and just a few of Beast's Urbans. But as you can see here, Beast still has his Legionary First Cohort with just 33 men still alive. And I think really in this stage of the battle, not so much when unit numbers are very large on both sides, but when the unit numbers are very thin, when everybody's tired and winded, you know, all the cavalry's winded. My cataphracts are all tired, one's winded, general's dead. This can be this Legionary First Cohort can be that little extra morale boost that really just makes friendly units hold just long enough to continue fighting on and see a win happen. Because I honestly think if any more morale was against us, my cataphracts might just break at the next countercharge that they do at any moment. But it seems like we lost one cataphract right there. Beast continues charging. Luke tries to counter, but just barely misses. More units break from that cataphract attack. Paglia is losing units right here. Luke's general goes down. You can see Paglia with that littlest cavalry just breaks through, and right there, that is the end of the battle right there. If there was just, I guess we just held too strongly at the end right there, and the enemy finally breaks from the last of the Silver Shields, the Legionary First Cohort of Beasts, Beast's cavalry, Pag's little cav units, and the cataphracts just continuing to fight on, and that is the battle. Right there. This is all we have left. Nothing but just a few Silver Shield pikemen. Cataphracts are getting revenge on those archers that have been shooting my pikes the whole game. Last stand from Hamilcar right there. Last man standing routes heroically though. And even Paglia is still with us. We didn't completely lose all of Paglia. He did the last charge that might have helped to rout all their units decisively, actually. It was that little tiny cav unit. And that's the battle. It was really a very epic battle. It was very even and close almost the entire time. Even after that cataphract attack with Beast and support with Beast Urbans and cavalry that we did, as Paglia fell, it still wasn't decided at that point. It was close all the way until the end. Everybody played very well. They all did their best, I thought. I think everybody made small mistakes, and everybody, just played to the best of their abilities, very locked in and focused. Just remember, Amanda had FPS issues this game that they told us about, so take Amanda's performance with a grain of salt, but I honestly think many of Amanda's moves were very sound and well made, despite that. Hamilcar got the most kills in the battle, likely partly from killing so many Silver Shield pikemen with both archers and urban attacks, so very well played to Hami for most kills. Second highest kills and highest kills in the Titans team went to myself with the Seleukids, and it was likely due to the cataphract attack and killing a lot of urbans with cataphracts and stuff, to be expected. If it goes that well, which it may not. But that was the battle right there. Was an absolute pleasure to play. I thought it was very, very rare to see just a battle of just all 6 very good players and another very good player, Sparky, spectating. This had 7 of the best players, in my opinion, at the time in team games, all involved. Looking over the kills, as you can see, once again, the trend continues. Antiochos, the general cavalry, gets the most kills out of all my units, with 189. This happens 90% of my battles. It's kind of weird, but it's very heroic and epic and typical of the real historical Antiochos to get that many kills. So, well done to the cataphracts there. Killed 2 urbans or more per unit right there, roughly. With many other cataphracts doing well. Even some Silver Shield pikemen did perform pretty well with 138 men. These were definitely units that were there in the final stand when it looked like we may lose at the end. Even the archers, for 109 kills, killed a lot of enemy archers, I guess, right there. And of course, some Silver Shield pikemen just got peeled and died early, so to be expected for the very low kill count there. And again, well played to everybody on this game. Absolute legendary game, historic charge offensive by Beast and I with the cataphracts and urbans. It was emblematic of Beast's and I style of play, I thought. Paglia did really well for his sacrifice at the end. I think that's what really triggered Beast and I to do that attack in the first place. And yeah, well played to everybody. Respect to all players involved. one of my favorite battles of 2025, definitely by far, as far as 3v3s go. And I think it shows how decisive the Seleucids can be in a team game situation. I think that as an instrument for attacking and doing and getting like a local overmatch going. I think this is one of those battles that sort of exudes how using the Seleucids can be done, especially against purely Roman teams. And it's honestly what my favorite thing to do in this game is use Seleucids against the Romans. So I love this battle also for having the opportunity to do that. Well, anyway, guys, I don't have much more to say other than well played to everybody. And yeah, I'll see you next time.